As you know, I've been working with this. This is the Boox Go 10.3, and well, one of the things that I was not so keen on, as you can see here, was the case. I did think it felt a little bit less premium than the actual device. And yeah, this is a good idea in principle, but it has its flaws. This kind of removable clip here, it's not ideal. So I thought, as I'd been sent something by ESR, I thought I'd talk through like what I really like about a case and what I don't like, and do some comparisons of different types of cases. So stick around, I'll come back to it. Firstly, there's this type, and this type, in my opinion, can just sort of die a death, really. So this has a fold up, so it can stand like so, but it's always really flimsy. Doing all right there this time, but you know, they never stay nice. And this was around on the very first iPads, and you know, I'm done with that type of case, to be honest. Now, why was that a disappointing type of case? Is because actually the Note Air 3 case was so well designed, very similar in terms of that clip, but obviously doesn't come off at the back, and it does have this origami mode, so that you can stand it. Either you can stand it in the landscape mode like that, or you can actually flick this in and stand it up vertically, and that's really nice. What's frustrating about this is that, well, that clip, when you open the device, is fine, that's okay, but when you go to close it, you reach round, it's come with it that time, but normally what happens is it's stuck like this, and you reach to unclip it, and of course you take the whole clip off, so that's not cool, and then you end up having to do this, which is like a two-handed job. And they're strong magnets, so it's like, there we are. Now there is this fact though, it's quite nice the way they've done this, that actually does fold, and you can set it into any kind of angle that you might like. It just holds on sort of by friction at the bottom there, and by a magnet at the top. But you haven't really got the option to stand it in vertical. Or, I mean, I thought about this a little bit, and perhaps they want to actually go back to the drawing board a little bit, because they could use this for this method. Could it actually just balance there? And yes, kind of. But what if actually we try and be really clever? Will it? Yeah. So just as you've made your set of notes and you want to just refer to them, you want just a reference, yeah, it's going to do this at some point though, isn't it? It's just going to fall over at some point, but maybe there's an angle that it will sit at quite happily for a long period of time. No, it's it's going to do that, isn't it? But that would have been quite a workaround to have that best of both worlds. But I just don't understand why they couldn't have done the origami mode, to be honest. I think I was a bit harsh on the materials of this, and actually the materials are quite nice. They are a little bit nicer, in my opinion, than the cover of the Note Air. But there's not much in it. They're a nice fake leather. As far as fake leather goes, they're a nice fake leather. So why spend a bit of time talking about cases? Well, actually, the case can have a large impact on your experience of a device. And well, some are gonna give you a good experience and some not so much. So here we go. Let's have a look at one of these, which solves one of the problems with the iPad case that I've had for the longest time. So this is my iPad. It's not a Magic keyboard. This is an ordinary keyboard case, and I don't like it very much. You know, it's horrible material. It takes something which was thin and light to begin with and makes it a bit of a chunk. Yeah, it gives you some keys, but those keys are absolutely horrible to type on. You know, they really sacrifice a lot to make these that thin. And then there's the Magic keyboard case, but of course that's like £300 just to begin with. And yeah, I think if I'd bought a new iPad, I probably would buy a Magic keyboard case. So what have we got? Might be a better alternative than that. It doesn't have a keyboard in it, but these guys do. So ESR have a range of products for the iPad, and they have a range of products for Android as well, including keyboard cases. They just didn't have any for this age of iPad, and they make one which is pretty much a clone of the Magic keyboard. So if this is good quality and you didn't want to spend all of that money on the official Apple Magic keyboard, you could go to something like their Rebound magnetic case 360 folio or Ascend. The Rebound has the sort of floating aspect of the Magic keyboard, and the Ascend clips in rather like the previous one. Putting on your case, stick it in the bucket, it can pull up, it can rotate, and it can stand. and it's got a little pencil holder as well. I see. Ah, right. That makes some kind of sense now. Okay, that's really cool. So it comes out and actually it's a sort of just a half case, and then it can go into the folio itself. That's really nice, actually. They did think, well, you know, actually, I don't want to be carrying around all of this extra weight all of the time. And it is, yeah, it's about, I would say it's the same weight, including the plastic bit, as the keyboard there. Similar, you know, scientific about it. But then it can clip into this, and this can be your little kickstand at the back. I see. There we go. Okay, that's quite nice, isn't it? Doesn't have, well, it does sit up there though, actually, and still charges up there as well. And then one of the frustrations of the Apple Pencil, of course, it comes off in your bag, so it does also have a storage place for that pencil as well for the longer term. It's quite nice, isn't it? They're nice materials, and it has the added benefit of you can pull this off, and they've managed the magnets such that it will stand vertically like that, or indeed you can have it higher up like that as well. Oh, that does seem to wobble a bit there. Yeah, that might be quite nice, you know, if you wanted to have it as a sort of TV stand almost. Because let's face it, most people watch Netflix on their iPads. So thanks a lot to ESR for sending that out for this quick review here. In the rebound case, you're looking at somewhere in the region of half of the price of the official Apple one, even less than that actually. So that's a rebound case and paper feeling bundle, so a screen protector as well for £113. Good deals. So ESR should be one of your thoughts for third-party accessories for your phone, things like charging, cases, these keyboards, hubs as well, and they have portable monitors too. So I'll leave that and try out that for a little while. This one is called the Shift series because you can shift it up. And I think that's a nice way to get around having to have an actual rotating panel that I've seen in some cheaper cases before to give you that vertical mode as you just use the magnets. It's a clever idea to have a detachable half case for using that in tablet mode, so now it's much more like the light iPad that you might want. Well, of course, one thing is you lose the keyboard from this case, but I'm not missing this mushy keyboard at all. Having this like so and then Bluetoothing in a decent keyboard is probably going to be a better experience. This is the EPO Maker Shadow S and I really like it. I really like the idea of actually typing in portrait like this. And that's one of the reasons why I did like the portrait mode on the Note Air 3, because you've got that same kind of typing experience there. I think that's ideal really for a lot of people. And yeah, of course you can buy yourself a stand for your desk, but having that stand wherever you are, maybe get the Logi keys to go or something, would also go quite well with that. Now we're on to keyboards and talking about different keyboard cases, different keyboard options. The one I really did enjoy was the Lenovo P12 Matte, and I think Boox actually should copy that in their next device, copy it entirely, because there's just something right about this sort of size really. Although there is no portrait mode on this, the keyboard on this is actually really quite pleasant to use. It's the right size because this is the right width. And what I really like about it is that you can just pull it off and now you're not having to carry that around. One of the issues with the keyboard case on the Tab Ultra C Pro, not so sure the way they've done the pen holder though, so I wouldn't copy that bit, Boox. Maybe just give it a clip. One of the issues with the keyboard cases on the Tab Ultra lineup is they actually have to be slightly wider than the device itself. And that I find a little bit frustrating. So you've got something that's designed to this size and then you've decided quite rightly that you need a bit more room for the keyboard case. So you've extended it out the side. Although there's one advantage of that you can kind of leave the pen there, but I mean, it's not such a big deal at all. And they did a nice job of this. They fitted in a reasonable sized trackpad, but with anything like this where you're quite cramped, you find that you're accidentally hitting that trackpad all of the time. And I don't think they actually put in a keyboard shortcut for trackpad disable. I don't find it such an issue on here, but it is an issue on the Lenovo actually, that. And there is a keyboard shortcut to disable the trackpad, which is useful. It can do auto rotate. but I just don't, because when you're using it tablet style, it's a bit annoying. So this is also one of my preferred places to type. You see I accidentally hit it there. The other and the biggest issue with this is when you're actually holding it like so, you've still got the keyboard engaged. So you're still doing kind of accidental presses. And I think it should just recognize that when it's in portrait mode, that you're not likely to want to use the keyboard or the trackpad, but you can see that it actually is still enabled. Or they needed to come up with a design where you could actually place this in vertically as well, whilst it's in keyboard mode. But there's no way to do that because it does use the pogo pins for connectivity. So although it could probably fit there, and actually does fit quite securely in there, there's now no connection. Some companies get around this type of thing by making that a Bluetooth keyboard, but then you have to have a battery within the keyboard, which makes the whole package heavier. Not that this isn't a heavy package anyway, because it is, and that's one of the flaws of it as well. I'd say with the ESR case, it's quite heavy as well there. And yeah, the problem with this Lenovo case is it's very, very thick, actually, the plastic on the base of the case. And that is one of the issues. They've got a plastic bucket and then a kind of fake leather back. So that's sort of double thickness. It just doesn't need, but you can make it a bit lighter by detaching the whole keyboard part. And then there's this ludicrously clever piece of design. You probably knew I was going to get on this eventually, by Remarkable. And honestly, this is the one that I think I prefer out of all of the keyboard cases. I haven't used long-term one of the Apple Magic keyboards. I'm sure they're really quite good. However, you buy an Apple Magic keyboard and you take something which is designed to be incredibly thin and light, and all of a sudden it's actually thicker than a MacBook. And that's because they wanted to get a MacBook quality keyboard into that Magic keyboard case. Cool, right? And it does feel like that. I've typed on one in an Apple shop and it does feel nice, although not any different really from the Lenovo, not any different from the Tab Ultra C Pro case, and not any better than this keyboard case here in the Remarkable. Why is this clever? I mean, it's just brilliant, isn't it? The way that it's just fit in there, you forget about it. And then you can open it out and you've got a really nice feeling keyboard. It's a really pleasant place to type. However, it is still quite cramped. And look, I mean, you just forget when you go to other ink tablets and then you come back to this, just how bad the screen management is on this device. It's not great, is it? Actually, this is now outdated. It's a low contrast screen and it's not got that 300 pixels per inch that the latest Boox has, and the Scribe and the next Supernote will, and I'm sure the Remarkable 3 will do too. And I'm pretty sure they'll stick with the typing experience as well. I do wonder whether Remarkable 3 will actually fit into this case, so they can actually take advantage of just not having to redesign this folio case again. But let's just bump that up and you can see there, one after the other, look at the type. Yeah, it looks a lot crisper. It's smaller and it looks crisper here on the Boox Go 10.3. And all of those three cases that I've just shown, they all have that benefit of you just being able to pull out, and then you've got your ludicrously thin and light device as well. And that's why people want magnetic cases. Problem is that magnetic cases and Wacom EMR technology, they are not the best mix, because actually, well, you can see I had a notebook there that I've been testing it on. You can see that you do get quite a lot of wobbles when it's in the case compared to when it is not, and actually that'd be worse when it's flat, especially when it goes over that rail and down here at the bottom. The magnetic case is nice because it's convenient, and I think probably on balance, unless you need to be drawing all of the time in the case, then a magnetic case is better because you can put it in and out more quickly. A bucket case would be better if you wanted to draw with it in the case all of the time, and you're using Wacom EMR tech. The iPad doesn't suffer from the magnetic interference so much. I think probably the Apple Pencil is the sort of gold standard of pen input that you can get before you go to the sort of professional artist kind of Wacom tablet. tablets, they are a little bit better for accuracy and pressure levels. But be aware, if you prize accuracy in your handwriting or your drawing, you perhaps want to think about whether you really need a magnetic case or not. So what's the answer out of all of these cases? Well, it's a tricky one, isn't it? The answer is to really consider your own use. One's going to suit you more than another. Let me know as well if there's one that I haven't considered. Oh, there is, yeah, there's the Pocketbook half folio case, and the new Supernote will have a half folio case. I did think that maybe this should have been a half folio case because they've spent all of the time working on the actual back of the device, and I think expecting you to pull it out of the case when you want to write or draw for long periods. They spent a lot of time developing this really nice back of the device, and yeah, now it does feel thin and light like that. Remarkable. But I wondered if actually using this side here to attach a half folio would keep it even lighter. Because the minute you put your tablet, your world's finished tablet, into a case, see the magnet's just not good enough there, all of a sudden it's a lot thicker. And the Pocketbook have done a really nice job with this one by actually just making a half folio case. So it does really feel like you are opening a book when you pull it out. I really like the color, and I really like the black with the green. Oh yeah, and there's also the Etsy cases of the world where somebody or you yourself have designed something very bespoke. And normally what they're going to use, they're going to use some kind of straps to hold it in, or maybe you can sort of buy some magnets that you can place in the same place, in the same orientation, and then they will fit the device that way. Generally those things are going to be quite thick affairs, but they can be really bespoke to you and what your needs are. So if you need a certain type of holder, or you like a certain type of pattern or texture, then you can obviously have that. So I hope that was useful just to run through all the options. And well, which do I think is best? Which is my favorite? Well, I can tell you, I think it is the Remarkable keyboard case. And I think it's just something else, something I wasn't expecting. I really like the fact that you open this out and you don't have the keys on the back. That's the thing for me. Of course, you have taken some incredibly thin and light technology and made it a normal thickness, let's say. So you do have that to consider. It's clearly thinner than if you were to place it in a simple book folio. If you know you want a keyboard, then I think that's a trade-off. It's just a shame, really, that the only device that currently has this type of case is the Remarkable, which is sorely in need of better software, and it's sorely in need of an update as well. It would also be quite nice if they could actually have some way of rotating the device so you could type in portrait. I think that would make a lot more sense for many of us with Remarkable if you could have it orientated that way whilst you type. That's not possible because actually there are pogo pins to connect it in there. So that would be an even more tricky bit of design, to actually have this rail maybe rotate, and maybe a whole other set of magnets maybe. Or if you were to redesign, you could maybe place pogo pins on the back and give them two different locations that they could snap into. That would be quite cool. Again, I think a 12-inch, slightly wider, slightly bigger keyboard would be nicer. And what I'm talking about with the software is, well, we're just used to autocorrect and autocomplete when we're typing as well, and things like spell checker, basic things like that, which I've had on a PC since the mid-90s, impression on the Acorns. I don't know if you remember that. We haven't even got that on the Remarkable here in 2024. But I do think that this is the case that everyone should imitate from now on. Thanks for watching.